Assalamualaikum ladies and gentlemen. Today, we want to present to you about Sahabat Alam Malaysia on climate change by Group 3. Please ensure that you relax your mind and take a seat back to get the best experience in our presentation. Before we begin, let me introduce you our group presenters. Start with Nurul Ain binti Musa. Next, which is me, Sayyidatun Nadira binti Shazali, and followed by Nur Fatini Zati binti Muhammad Al-Husaini. Next, we move on to the fourth presenter in this group, which is Nur Anis Najwa binti Muhammad Sukarnain, and lastly is Nur Ain Farhana binti Yusli. The content of this presentation are introduction, program, activities, SWOT analysis, recommendation, and lastly is conclusion. This presentation will begin with introduction by Nurul Ain binti Musa and followed by the other group members.
Introduction. As we know, NGO, or known as a non-governmental organization, is a non-profit group that functions toward social, cultural, environmental, educational, and other issues. Sahabat Alam Malaysia is one of the voluntary bodies in charge of maintaining natural resource and ecologically sound, guided by the principle of environmental justice. Sahabat Alam Malaysia was founded in 1977 to fight worsening environmental deterioration triggered by irresponsible people toward creating the development of a country. Now let's move to the vision and mission of Sahabat Alam Malaysia. The vision of Sahabat Alam Malaysia states that to create a peaceful and sustainable world based on society living in harmony with nature. We envision a society of independent people living in dignity, wholeness, and fulfillment in which equity, the human and people's rights are realized. We believe that our children's future will be better because of what we do. Mission of Sahabat Alam Malaysia. Firstly, to ensure environmental and social justice, human dignity, and respect for human rights and people's rights so as to secure sustainable societies. Secondly, to halt and reverse environmental degradation and depletion of natural resources, nurture the Earth's ecological and cultural diversity, and secure sustainable livelihoods. Thirdly, to secure the empowerment of indigenous people, local communities, women, and other stakeholders in their participation in decision making. The tragedy of logging and large mudslide near Karat Town on December 18 and 19, 2021 has attracted the attention of Sahabat Alam Malaysia in climate change program. Sahabat Alam Malaysia implement this climate change program toward investigating a more depth the root 3 of mud flows disaster. Even though climate change has been identified as one of the contributing factors, other possibility factors that have been detected is by possibility of weak system with the country existing infrastructure and support mechanism. After the investigation by Sahabat Alam Malaysia, it can be detected that all the natural causes of mudslide are triggered by humans. Forest debris, logs, and walls of mud clearly show this disaster related of the greed of irresponsible people behavior. As mentioned, the program of climate change is focused on implementing action and monitoring climate action plan and policies in line with the UN Framework Convention on Climate Change. Regarding to this issue, Sahabat Alam Malaysia urged for cohesive and coordinated effort among the Malaysian federal and state government to examine and investigate in more detail all the causes that occurred in connection with the flood that occurred. The government should take action stiffen penalties, including fine and jail terms, for those found guilty of cutting down trees without permission. Furthermore, Sahabat Alam Malaysia urged the state and federal government in Malaysia to consider the budget and allocation of funds for the rehabilitation of this post-flood plan. The creation of these rehabilitation plans aims to improve the well-being of the community by rebuilding homes and destroyed property. Sahabat Alam Malaysia also called for national action to be more sensitive and quicker with information in order to make the public aware of any disaster. It clearly shows that the program of climate change under Sahabat Alam Malaysia is really concerned with promoting environmental sustainability. This program also raised public awareness of the importance of remaining calm in the face of the effect of climate change.
Hello! In the previous part, you already know about what is Sahabat Alam Malaysia, or we call it SAM, when they established it in Malaysia, what is their visions, missions, and their programs. Right now, you must be wondering what actually they do, right? Let's move on to the next part. I will explain it more detail to you. In this part, you will know what actually they do. SAM have 8 activities, which are advocacy and campaigns, community mobilization, education and awareness, and the fourth one is legal support. Furthermore, they also do media and publicity, networking, research and publication, and lastly, sustainable solutions. However, I will just explain 4 of the SAM's activities in this presentation. The first activity is the advocacy and campaigns. Based on the information gained through community mobilization and in-depth research, SAM conduct various activities to advocate and campaign for changes in policies and laws and the halting of activities, and also practices that are destructive to the environment and communities. Such activities may take place in the form of direct engagement with state and other civil society actors, as well as through consultative spaces established by various governance processes. Next is community and mobilization. For your information, their work is based on the empowerment and mobilization of grassroots communities, particularly indigenous, fishing, and agricultural people. This is to protect their lands and environments from harmful activities and ecosystem damage brought on by unfair economic and development decisions. For example, SAM has personally assisted in the development of various community action committees across the nation, as well as 28 indigenous residents organizations in Sarawak and 2 fishing community organizations in Peninsular Malaysia. Besides that, for education and awareness, SAM will provide information and technical knowledge to their indigenous, fishing, and farming community partners, as well as students, the youth and women, and the general public. Plus, they also regularly receive invitations to speak and present at various events organized by state and other civil society actors nationally and internationally. However, for legal support, SAM will provide legal advice and support to communities, various public interest groups, and coalitions in areas where SAM has expertise. Where resources are available, they also will directly assist communities in seeking legal redress in courts to remedy environmental injustice.
Now let's take a look at the SWOT analysis of this program. Firstly, the strength of this program is the cooperation between Sahabat Alam Malaysia and other NGOs has produced a greater result in helping and investigating the climate change in Karak Town. Furthermore, it helps to open the public's eyes and spread awareness about the danger of the climate change. Next, the weaknesses of this program are no one really knows how effective this program could help to spread a positive impact on the climate change. This is because the natural disaster happen pretty often here in Pahang, and it is getting worse in every single year. Furthermore, Sahabat Alam Malaysia might already overspend their fund money to run this program. This is because they are known as a non-governmental organization. Moving on to the opportunities, regardless of how questionable this program still provides a lot of opportunities, especially for young people to have experience in helping the environment. In addition, Sahabat Alam Malaysia also welcomes everyone to join them. Furthermore, the government also may lend their hand to help the NGO to raise awareness in saving environment for everyone. Finally, the threat that occurred during this program is it has put everyone's life who joined this program on danger and risk. This is due to the unpredictable climate change and weather in the affected area. Therefore, it has caused the relief and investigation activities to be postponed for a couple of times.
We move on to the recommendation to the program. As much as what happened and finding who is responsible for this disaster, Sahabat Alam Malaysia and 45 NGO proposed a few coordinated efforts to the Malaysia federal and state government to improve and avoid something like this happening again. We can clearly see that illegal activities were ranged in the area. So, some of recommendation that this program can help is the first one, establish a permanent restricted forest. The production forest is a permanently conserved forest that has been gazetted for operation like logging, and implying that forests would be harvested sustainably to the point where logging may continue indefinitely. Hence, it refers to the carefully controlled techniques, rates, and cycle of wood exploitation. By doing so, it also helps with the ecotourism by preserving it as a tourist attraction place. For example, providing beautiful and wonderful aerial views of the treetops and the city. Next, designated budgets or establish a fund to support the post-storm recovery plan, which include modify the devastated homes and town. For example, improving community welfare, accounting for their psychology, and laying the medical groundwork for the community. Giving money always helps, but the damage from flood destroy everything. This program has trained in working through natural disaster like this, but sometimes there is not enough staff to do so. So, make a great deal out of encourage others to join the volunteer effort in social media especially. Because there is so much work to be done, the programmer may option to split work in order to keep things running smoothly. One group is assisting with cleanup as the water recedes. Furniture that flowed during the flood will have to be discarded and the streets will have to be cleaned. Another group might begin looking after donations such as essential and supplies. This will ensure that all victims are treated fairly and that no one is left behind. Also determine what the victims need so that no things are overlooked. Lastly, this program can establish a catchment protection, tree planting, and river restoration plan as a part of larger flood risk management strategy that also include traditional flood barriers. Dr. Simon Deason of University of Birmingham said that the show targeted tree planting and restoration can help to lower flood risk. Therefore, here are some strategies for alleviating floods. Many farmers use the floodplain for silage productions, but if they are less productive or inaccessible portions of existing, tree planting can assist produce greater flood storage, slowing the flow and lowering flood danger downstream. For example, on unproductive area of a field or a slope that is more difficult to cultivate, there are sometimes chance to plant a tree belt.
Now we move on to the last part of our presentation, which is conclusion. As we all know, climate change has wreaked havoc on our planet. In the hope of a better future for our world, Sahabat Alam Malaysia has undertaken numerous initiatives such as the investigation program into mud flows and landslides near Karak Town, as well as campaigns and support mechanisms for local communities. As a result, society can understand more about the current state of our planet. Therefore, even though climate change occurs naturally over hundreds or thousands of years, we as humans need to take appropriate action sooner, as we also influence the cause of the climate change. Finally, I hope that this program will help society understand how important it is to care for our planet, because it is where we live.
That's all from us. Thank you for listening.